Well, if you are not aware, HashPack is the leading wallet on Hedera. I don't know if I'm going to get the stat. I'm probably going to butcher the stat, but I know it's like somewhere around 97, 98% of monthly active users. And normally, and thank you to HashPack, we do these kind of all hands on deck Hedera spaces, or we do these Hedera showcases. We've been doing these with HashPack since 2021, I think. But it's always a pleasure to actually have HashPack leadership here with us, because I think there's a lot that kind of goes on behind the scenes under the hood of Hedera that most people don't see. So that being said, I will skip the pleasantries and pretenses. May, welcome, and Phil, welcome. I guess let's talk a little bit about where we're at, state of the blockchain industry. And May, you're the guest of honor today. So where do you think we're at right now? And
Yeah,
thank you.
I think like here, February 24th, 2026, I think. We are a little bit in the dumpster. I think that sentiment is down, and that just happens when Bitcoin and everything else in the market is down. That's just how crypto works, right? So I think that the community is still around, but they're um, little bit unhappy with the way things are, a little bit discouraged. But I think that the thing about this isn't the first time that we've gone through a bear market, gone through tough times, and I think the core community that is still around, that is still looking for all of the things that Hedera is promising and doing, uh, they're still around, right? So here we are, 2026. Things are a bit down, but we're still building, and I think that like overall, when I talk to teams, there are a lot of teams that are out there that are really positive and really uh, building at this time. So like it's kind of funny being in this role where I'm talking to both the community and also to builders and companies. And the builders and companies are actually, there's quite a lot of them that are still out there and still uh, getting ready to launch and pushing really hard. And I think that that's very exciting. And then looking the other side and seeing that the token price of everything is down, and managing that sort of feeling too, which is equally as valid, right? So a very interesting place to be, but also not terrible, because at least the builders are still out there, still pushing, and I think that that's very very optimistic.
Yeah, I did a video last week. I forget what I titled it. Something like "Don't Give Up."
Yeah.
And I what I kind of see right now is like just a lot of this has happened so 3 times. So and I know that people don't believe in the cycles, and which is fine, but it seems to happen in a cyclical way, and it almost seems like right now we're in that phase of blockchain and crypto and DLT where everybody is either A, just sick of it, or B, bored, or a mixture of both, depending on the day. What's interesting, though, in the video, the kind of the purpose that I did last week is that, like, if you look out at historically, whenever we are in this, either A, sick of it, or B, whatever, down in the dumps, or whatever other negative thing, that's like historically the most opportunistic, like that you should be in this space. Like there's so much going on still, and it may seem really boring, but you can really tell the people and the builders that are still here and that have continued to be here, that are just A, grinding through it, but B, even from a like speculator standpoint, this is normally when you can actually make decisions that if you're willing to kind of ride it out for another year or two, that could be beneficial. Obviously, this is not financial advice. Anybody with
Historically, yes.
anybody with a brain can look at what has happened in the past and whatever. But I think the one story that has been different, even outside of like crypto prices, because that has not been different, is actual real world adoption. I remember a handful of years ago, like the big piece of news was like Lipton iced tea rebrands to Lipton blockchain. And now you have like FedEx joining, you know, Hedera Council. You have, there was Davos was just, Davos was just a couple of weeks ago. And you had Mance there basically talking about invisible blockchain ubiquity and all this like crazy adoption stuff. Like, I even go to like the conversation I had at the tail end of last year with Wes Geisenberger from the ESG standpoint. And like, I think it was COP 21. It's probably wrong. Like entire nation states, governments, pretty much all the world's financial infrastructure is starting to come on chain. And that's been a big shift. I know you guys from HashPack standpoint may like under the hood. And here's like an example of this. Like I remember a year or a year and a half ago, like some of the developer videos you watch at the institutional level are like can be dry. Let's just put it that way. And I was watching like a Shinhan Bank, and I forget who the other one was, a developer video on like stable coins. And like 45 minutes in, they're like using the HashPack for like transferring stable coins. And I messaged Mark from HashPack and I'm like, did you know that this was like a thing? And he's like, I had no idea. But you guys do deal with a lot of the infrastructure. Like, what has it been like for you guys? I know you probably can't talk about a lot of it, but is that something you're excited about? Is there stuff happening under the hood?
Yeah, it's actually taking off, and it takes off like very slowly, but there's actually a lot of momentum growing in the regulated space, in the institutional and enterprise space. There's more and more companies that are coming in. I was just at a roundtable with a lot of big names that were talking about how the Hong Kong government was handling crypto regulations, handling custodial regulations. You know, the things like how many assets does a crypto exchange need to hold when they're allowing users to trade digital assets. And these are like big names in the industry that are coming together, that are working with governments to come to regulations that they can then build businesses off of, right? And it's not about like trying to, I don't know, squeeze through the cracks or like try to figure out like how to get around the law. It's actually the opposite. The more defined the law is, the more that they can work their business in with it. And when they're talking to the governments and the regulators about what they need, the governments are trying to figure out how to deliver that while also protecting the public, which is the main driver of like friction, right? And the Hong Kong government. This is just one specific example because I was in Hong Kong for Consensus HK, which was really fun actually, and but it's happening all over Asia, and it's also happening in the States, and in Europe as well with MiCA regulations. So like everybody's trying to figure out how to get into this game, and it's now not just like the like, I don't know, crypto DeFi centralized exchanges and whatever, but it's also real financial institutions that are trying to bring in financial products on chain and trying to figure out how you can, as a user, or how they can as a business, deliver tokenized stocks or tokenized loans or refinanced loans that give the buyers, which is the DeFi community, the retail community, better APR, better yield than regular financial products in the traditional side of things, right? So there's a lot of interest, a lot of potential, and people are really building towards that. And the great thing about being in Hedera is that this is sort of our bread and butter. This is where Hedera has been focused for the past 6 years, even when nobody else was talking really about it. And now I think that there's a lot of momentum building in that space. So I think, this is actually a very exciting time to be part of Hedera, just because all of that enterprise and institutional thing that was always coming and in the future is now being built right now, like right here. So I think that that's a very cool thing. Like if you're in Hedera and you're sick of the market and you're bored, keeping an eye on those kind of breadcrumbs, I think that is very, very interesting, and will keep you interested at least until things pick up again inevitably, if you believe in the 4-year cycle for Bitcoin, or
Sure.
if you don't, like, economies go up and down. So I think that we are definitely in a down phase, but that means that at some point there's going to be an up phase, whatever that means, right? Could mean token price, could not mean token price. It could
Yeah.
mean other verticals, other industries coming up, which is what these enterprises are banking on, right? And trying to capture.
Well, silver and gold are meme coin, like physical silver and gold. We've learned over the past month are like meme coins too. So I think anything is like fair game at this point. But like total sidebar, and I'm going to get to you here, Phil. But I forget, it was like a week or 2 weeks ago. I want to say it was Hong Kong Monetary Authority. It might have just been another entity in Hong Kong, but I know it was at like kind of the government level. Basically put out like this long document that was like, the digitization strategy leading towards 2030, and had all sorts of stats about, adoption for distributed ledger. And I think it's like we're beyond. One thing that's interesting to me is, and we can talk about like the enterprise and institutional adoption until we're blue in the face, but over the past few months, I've done a couple of interviews that have been eye-opening, where yes, we've known that institutional and enterprise adoption was happening, but it almost seemed like there was the private end of things and the public end of things. And I think the question was, is it ever going to bridge? And I've had like interviews and discussions over the past couple of months, which are like, it is 1000% happening. So it leads me back to our HashSphere with Eric Bassini interview we did last year, May, talking about using like HashSphere or a HashSphere, kind of a private environment, any of these enterprises, as kind of the gateway to Hedera mainnet, and starting them somewhere and then bridging them over. Because at the end of the day, like all of these enterprise and institutions, they're going to have things that have to remain private, and then they're going to have things that bridge over, which from what I've heard, the governance of a public network is very interesting to them because it adds a level of like transparency and accountability. The liquidity, obviously, of a public network is vastly interesting to them, et cetera, et cetera. But Phil, you just had a year anniversary with HashPack. I think I saw a post on that. That was like a couple of days ago. So congratulations. And I know you tackle things from the very much so from like the retail end, which I brought this up before. It has historically taken all of the retail builders to like take risks, number one, and build out platforms. Like otherwise, we would never see the Franklin Templetons and BlackRocks and governments and entities of the world building on crypto if the people with boots on the ground weren't building out things first and trying to ship products. So what has it been like for you? What are some of the more exciting things?
It's been awesome.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. Like generally speaking, I'm not saying that because I'm on the show. It's really been awesome because it's a clear showcase as to, if you keep on listening, if you like, it's so cliche, but if you just keep on doing what you love out there, it's just going to work. Key moments for me, for sure, like joining was absolutely awesome. 1 year ago, precisely, I think it was last week, like you mentioned. For sure, Dev Day last week for me was also a surreal moment. We can cover that later on. It was like, wow, I'm here, like talking with folks. It just makes sense. It's just like it's inspirational. Also, pack the mic connections, but above all, for me, it's just like the key moments for me is that I never stop being me as to my key best value proposition. I feel even as this job, because that's a job. That is. It's that I'm connecting with folks genuinely, naturally, on the level that just now makes sense because now it's my job description, because it's marketing, because it's business development, because it's socials, because it's X, because it's all those things. But never stopping doing that, like reaching out to potential partners, leads, connecting with folks that I didn't think about. But now, I have this beautiful brand that now is HashPack. That's just a beautiful vehicle just to usher these new relationships. So I would say that those best moments where I generally connect, case in point, again, right here, awesome partner like that is Genfinity. It just makes sense as to never stop being me, as to I'm just connecting and just creating those links. I'll make the tech, right? Hiding the wires and all that thing.
So one thing that's been interesting, and I know that you, I always see like if you, like I will sometimes still have my phone on like later at night and like I'll just see like HashPack or Phil and like multiple like Twitter Spaces.
Yeah,
So like
I mean,
one that was like a full circle moment for me, and this has happened like more than one time. Um, so we brought, was it Pump Games on like a year ago, whenever they launched, and I know that you've been in some stuff too, and I've actually seen, so like shout out to Miguel Valles.
Oh, awesome.
So for those that aren't aware, Miguel Valles was head of XRP markets at Ripple for like a handful of years, like a very big wig position. And then like you can't imagine how full circle that is to like see like Miguel Valles like launching and shipping products on Hedera, but still keeping the cross chain like multi chain ethos. Like I remember when he showed that platform a year ago, I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like I hope that people start using this and it takes off, because you never really know. I mean, I see really cool stuff all the time. And I like, this is like a week or two ago, and I see, and there's more than just XRPL and Hedera now. I forget which other chains, but they're like this, the numbers are going up as far as how many people are competing in this. And it's like really, really cool to see people just using things because it's fun. But you guys have other strategic partners too that you do stuff very consistently with outside of us. I know Orbit is consistently building. So what type of things do you guys do there? I know you do a collaborative show and they're onboarding into the ecosystem as well, but maybe walk us through that a little bit, Phil.
Yeah, with pleasure. I mean, they had a great talk. I think it was Juno a year ago with May in Vancouver, and that really ushered again this beautiful relationship where it just makes sense from a business standpoint, but also from a personal angle, where it's just fun. It's intertwined. The guys, I think there are three of them. I don't want to forget anyone. Justin, Juno, there's Warlock also in there, and potentially two engineers if my memory is not playing games. Yeah, just again, awesome people. It just makes sense because they came into the sphere with this beautiful value proposition where, trading, like, wow, it just came out. It just felt like magic, and it worked. It worked because they were doing the job in terms of what's the need, like the ecosystem is in need right now. Where's the vertical where we can aim at that's going to be really unique, potent for us, and of course sustainable because project to companies, but also to us, it came in really fun because, of course, like trading and the whole thing, and really seeing a huge appetite in terms of what can it also look like for us in app for a HashPack. So yeah, again, beautiful collaboration. The show that you mentioned every single Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, awesome collaboration we've been doing with these guys so far.
Yeah, and they've been a big part of the community since they came in. They've recognized the same thing that HashPack kind of has dug ourselves into, which is like our community is our biggest resource here. Not resource, but like if we take care of our community will take care of us. And the more that we lean into them, the more feedback we get, the better that we can make the wallet as well. And I think Orbit also comes from that sort of same mindset where they've just been integrated into the community from day one and getting feedback. And building out unique things that don't exist on the network anymore, or on the network previously, like limit orders and other things that they are now building up. But I say specifically limit orders because we're looking into integrating with them now after all of this time that they've been building and building this relationship with us. I don't know when it will come out, but having just like another financial tool in your HashPack wallet to help you to make more trades, make better trades, protect yourself if with a limit order, or like take advantage of things with the limit order. Those kind of things are useful when you get to become a more sophisticated crypto trader compared to just going on to the graph and pressing market buy. And also, these kind of DeFi tools are just very like practical and practically useful. Again, in that roundtable that I was in Hong Kong, the big suits that were sitting at the table were just talking about all the same things we talk about in DeFi. They were just wearing fancy clothes while saying it. But like liquidity, market size, financial tools, like they also need to have limit orders and need to have what's it called? The ability to place all these different types of trades on them on their platforms, right? So like they just have to go around the government to do it, whereas DeFi has kind of been the Wild West. But all of these tools are like essential if you want to be serious about being in this space, right? So building out that kind of thing has always been Orbit's kind of direction for the more serious traders, and I think that that's a really cool angle that they've kind of built towards.
Yeah, May. I remember at HederaCon last year, and I know that HederaCon's coming up again in May in Miami, but last year in Denver, we won't get into my experience as far as just deathly ill
Yeah,
for
what
3
you
days.
say? Yeah.
But I remember your speech there talking about wallets kind of being the enterprise or the, oh my gosh, wallets being like the onboarding experience into like entire networks. And I think that that's going to become more and more prevalent where like, you have all these really cool platforms, but I know like, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because I'm looking at like the multi-chain swaps and the integration with Let's Exchange that you guys just announced, a couple of weeks ago. I really do feel like, yes, you're going to have all these kind of standalone applications and areas you can kind of visit and things like that. But over time, we would expect, or I would expect, a lot of the user experience to like continue becoming more and more, oh, this is my Hedera, this is my account, this is like this, this is the account that I use, not even using the word wallet, but just this is my account.
Yes.
And these are the things that I can do with my account.
It makes sense because all of these companies that are building out projects, you look in DeFi, uh, you see Orbit building out limit orders, Salsa Swap with just trading. You see Syntax and Kabila and um, I'm
You're not going to
missing
be able to
names.
name them all. You will 100%. You
NFT
will 100%.
launchpads, right? NFT platforms, right? We have Kiva, who Phil's probably going to talk about in before the end of the show, who's doing comic book stuff and coming out with that. All of these projects are building out a product that is hopefully very interesting to users, right? But if you have to go and connect individually to each of these websites, that is very difficult for those projects to get a lot of users coming in and a lot of users aware of them and also interacting with them, because making a separate account on every single site is very tedious, right? And so similarly, when we talk about regulated tokens and digital assets and stable coins and all of that, like there are going to be projects that are launching a very specific financial digital product. There's going to be stuff that are specifically doing not every token under the sun, not every stock under the sun, but just like the big stocks. Or there's ones that are just doing stocks in this part of the world, or making Japanese stocks accessible to non-Japanese people, or whatever. All of these things, they're all making a product that is very specific because that's their specialty. And then there needs to be a place for those products to live, to be so that a user can manage them, a user can trade them, a user can make decisions on which product am I going to get today. The wallet ends up being the distribution for all of that, right? So I think that we are in a very interesting spot as HashPack, where we're in these discussions and trying to figure out how we can fit into those kind of things, because that's really our ballpark, our value proposition. All this time it's been DeFi, but honestly, the traditional finance market is very similar to DeFi. It's just a little bit more dressed up.
So, and I'll maybe move into some of the forward-looking stuff here in a second, Phil, with you. But I guess, even from like the development standpoint, and I'll go back to kind of what I said before. Like, I know that you guys are always building and contributing to like network infrastructure and things like that. Are there things that you're excited about? Because I know that like last year it was like the AI, kind of the agentic helper within HashPack and things like that were being talked about. But like, are there things this year that we feel like might ship at some point that you guys are looking forward to that are HashPack specific that will? So I look at it in an interesting way, because I know that you guys are, I look at basically anything that HashPack ships as basically being, oh, this, you can do this on Hedera now, because the majority of the user base is using HashPack, which equates to this is what you can do on Hedera now. But what types of things, or you probably can't mention, but like, are there things that are going to be coming this year?
I mean, the biggest one that we've been getting gauging interest in and trying to push is having a card, a debit card, where like you have a balance of probably USDC inside of HashPack, and then you go to a store and you pay for something using your balance. And this, we have to have the partnerships in place and they have to support Hedera. And we're told Q1. Well, Q1's almost over, so like we'll see where they're at with that.
Next
But they're
Tuesday.
Yeah, next Tuesday, right? So hopefully they'll come back
Sure.
to be like, we did it. We haven't been updating you, but we did. But anyways, we're pushing to have this kind of thing because this really goes into the sort of utility of crypto that we all have wanted for all this time and have been trying to build towards. And now there are rails out there that you can build the ability to pay for something using your crypto. And the way that this is interesting, right? Because like, oh, okay, well, you could just pay with your bank account. You could just pay with your Visa, MasterCard, or whatever. And so why do I need to put money into like buy crypto and then put it into a card and then go to a thing and use that specific card instead of my Visa, MasterCard, or something like that? The reason is because hopefully with all of these financial products coming in, or if you're a big crypto trader that has made a lot of money in crypto, right? Or will make a lot of money, then you don't have to convert outside of your main wealth generation kind of platform, right? And you can still spend whatever you're doing on the daily side, right? So one day when these financial products come in, and hopefully we'll be bringing them to you through HashPack, and you'll be able to make informed financial decisions on like how you want to invest your money. And maybe it will make more sense than putting it into a tax-free savings account or into a whatever financial products people put their stuff into, treasury bonds or something.
One thing
GICs.
you made that I think's interesting with like the cards is like, so like I actually would probably use something like that. And I was telling Phil before we hit the record button, I love all of the innovation, but like interviewing so many people, you see so much stuff, and I always am like, now after just years, I'm like, would I use this? Like, is this going to be more work for me to use, or is this something that just kind of fits into my everyday life? I obviously like crypto. I obviously love all the innovation going on, but like, I have enough time to like go on and like learn how to like snipe NFT markets like in 2026? The answer is probably no. Now, if there were a credit card or something, like I know like an example is like the Gemini has an XRP credit card. It's like 4% back. Anytime you spend it, you get 4% back in XRP. Not only from the like trying to gain an asset standpoint, because I think that'd be amazing for HBAR or for USDC as a starting point, obviously, because we have to have a starting point, or for PAC.
Yep.
But think about like the way the traditional credit cards work right now. And yes, there are certainly credit cards that give you cash back, but there are a lot of credit cards that just give you points to spend more money on something else. Like I would 1,000, and I actually was thinking about doing these yesterday. I would 1,000% sign up for a credit card that gives you back, maybe USDC that earns yield. And I'm not saying that that's what's happening, or maybe USDC that equates to points that equate to something else. That to me is absolutely like, huge, because most people aren't paying their mortgage yet in like a native crypto on a layer one network, but most people are paying, bills or buying groceries with a credit card. And let's bridge the gap, because like, crypto is going to be a part of people's everyday lives. And that's like the super low hanging fruit to like get it done quicker,
Yep. Yeah.
Sorry to ramble.
No, I mean, that's where we're aiming. And now with the market moving in this way, with regulators finally adopting and putting out things that business can build towards, we're starting to see it. And yeah, like if you are accessing these financial products in HashPack, and getting a yield on it, then it makes sense to also just be able to use it. If you like use the amount that you need to spend for daily things, And then when you're not spending, it's making money for you, right? That's the whole kind of thing. And DeFi and crypto technology in general allows you to kind of piece things together in a smaller thing, so you don't have to invest like $300 into Apple stocks or whatever it is. You used to not even be able to buy fractional stocks. You have to buy the whole thing, right? So
Yep.
now you can buy fractional tokens in something, and you don't have to spend a ton of money and all of that. I mean, like, that exists in TradFi now. You can buy pieces of a stock, but like DeFi just does it by default, right? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of interesting things that are coming out that we are excited to bring to our users, and hopefully make people's lives better. I mean, that's a very interesting part for me. You can invest your money in something that makes sense. That is, I mean, you can opt into the super risky stuff. That's always been the DeFi sort of dream. But you can also, I would love to see things that for the people with less time on their hands, or the less financial literacy stuff, still being able to access some of these things, right? And know that they're protected. I think that's where we're moving in the regulated space, right? So, a playground for everybody. I think
Yeah.
that's what I would like to see.
Yeah. I interviewed, it's always interesting to see stuff kind of come full circle, like, which I think is going to just continue to happen, because what we see in crypto and blockchain is that sometimes things come out and they're really good ideas, but it's just too early for them to be
Yes.
adopted. And like micropayments is a perfect example of that. So I remember literally the open beta for Hedera was daily timestamp, and it was 3 weeks of here's a simple wallet experience. It obviously wasn't HashPack, but it was just daily timestamp. I don't even know I think it was my HBAR wallet or something. You created it, then you could go to daily timestamp, connect the wallet, and then it was like literally random articles. And I used to like spam it. So I used to like scroll down and like try to get as many streamed HBARs as possible. But then that went away, right? So that was 2019. And then I was interviewing Graham Rodford from Archax. And for those that aren't aware, Archax is like everywhere, huge in RWAs and tokenized real world assets. And he basically said, and I don't know if this is launched yet because I haven't paid attention, but I don't think it is. But he said there's something coming out soon with like streaming yield payments on Hedera. And I'm just like thinking in my head, like, when I hear the word streaming payments, that's just another way that's easier to understand for like really micropayments, because like I feel like we're heading towards a future, and maybe this is like a romanticized view of like the future of crypto and blockchain. But think about like how many people right now live paycheck to paycheck, and think about how much it would help people to actually have real-time balance updates for like the work that they're doing in their everyday lives. So like I go to work and I have to wait 2 weeks to get my paycheck. Well, I do think we're probably headed towards a future where you go to work and every second that you're at work, you probably have a tiny bit of a balance streaming to you. So I don't have to now, like, there's people that I'm sure like can't pay for like food, and they're like, we got to eat ramen like for 2 days. It's like that goes away. And then to your point, May, I think, the big value driver here, and obviously in a compliant and regulated way, is democratization of access. So it's not going to matter if you're a multimillionaire, if you have $50 in your checking account, you're going to be able to participate probably in a lot of the same stuff that a multimillionaire would be able to do right now. And we're hopefully heading towards that. But Phil, I would love if you could talk to us a little bit about what you're excited about for the future of HashPack. Give us a heads up of, how do I pronounce this? Kiva?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
awesome.
Kiva.
Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, for sure. But
Really.
the collaborations for me is where really like where the fruit, the candy is at. Like that's where it is. And Kiva is absolutely awesome. They have this comics platform that they're developing from A to Z. You can have a brand and just go on there and just create the thing. They've been inside the ecosystem for like 3 months or so. They've been absolutely awesome, really receptive. Also, value proposition is awesome because, of course, they are also abstracting the tech, which I feel is really great at the intersection we're at right now in 2026. So, like, they're the key main audience is not necessarily someone that's in Web3, but also someone that just loves comics. You just want to be making them. It's just fun, you just have all those beautiful tools on their platform and just makes sense. You just connect your HashPack wallet. And after that, you just up on there, you create what you want to create and you share it afterwards. So, and I feel like there's so much, and again, for me, for the marketing dude, there's so much great value into creating a beautiful product, but also how you can create and showcase and share all those beautiful experiences between the inception of, wow, I have a great idea, and here what this is, this in-between phase, there's so much value in there. So, and for me, for HashPack, that's what this is, this ongoing collaboration, partnership, relationships with all our partners, friends, collaborators, spaces, shows. That's what this is for me. Same thing for Orbit, same thing for Centex, same thing for Bonzo, same thing for everyone. So that's really what I'm looking for. Even new friends, and Dev Day was a tier showcase to that. That's what I'm looking for. Even more friends, more handshakes, more collaborations. Yeah.
So I forgot to even ask you guys about Dev Day. So, and I know that this, from like most people watching this, obviously, like maybe the development aspects of Hedera might not be necessarily the most exciting portion, but for me, it's always interesting because I look at the architecture of Hedera as being super interesting. Outside of like obviously Genfinity has a media relationship inside the network and with HashPack and everything else, but far before that, I was just a dude looking up looking up networks on the internet for ones that I was interested in, and I think it's been interesting to watch the kind of the architecture that you can pick and choose what you want to use to build out a solution. So like I can choose, I can use tokenization studio or AI studio, or I can use consensus service or token service or whatever I want to use as an entity. But yeah, I mean, I think that Hyro obviously is kind of what this is all, a lot of the stuff culminated in as far as decentralization of the network. But what was Dev Day like for you guys? I mean, I guess let me put it this way. What was kind of the big thing that stands out to you from Dev Day? And
core infrastructure, friends, narratives also all around, like how can the network out there, and from all the guest speeches, it was really great. Again, big shout out to everyone who organized the event. It was absolutely great. Olivia from Amplified event was really from A to Z very, very well done. But the core narrative, core flavors to that is how can we bring those core infrastructural standpoints that we have from this and bring it without showcasing the wild necessarily. And it was Dev Day, but it didn't feel like Dev Day. It felt like, wow, how accessible is that? That's absolutely awesome. Let me build a use case. Let me try something with my company. Let me try something with the network that just makes sense, not only for my audience, but also broadly speaking for potentially users out there that don't need to learn about the tech. It was really, really great. Again, I've said that to all the shows that I've been on for the last week, but Richard Baer, VP Engineering, gave wonderful speech out there, and at the level that he in, really, really great. It was really outstanding in terms of he's trying also Moonshots project with his team and colleagues. I find that's really good. So it's use cases that have very low chances of like success, but if it works, moonshots. So I find that to be really inspirational in terms of at this level, really having this passion and really drive to just keep on trying stuff out that would, if it works, it's just amazing. But yeah, the tone on there was really like core infrastructural key points that really can make sense for the folks out there that do not need to know about the tech.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited. I mean, I got to a chance to, I think I've interviewed Richard twice, and the last one was the end of year, and he's super excited about kind of the state of the network. Yeah. I know his focus is just consistently making it, I think, as easy as possible to come on to Hedera, and it being like the no-brainer choice for building, I think, from the way he's described it to me. But I'd love to know from your guys' stance, like what you're excited about for the remainder of 2026. I will tell you guys, we're going to get through 2026 together here. Like literally, like it is like, sometimes like, oh my God, dude, it's like you look out across and it's like, come on, like there's like so much stuff to actually be like super excited about. Like there's more, like I said earlier, there's literally more adoption than we've ever had in this space. I would put Hedera within easily, a handful. If you could be maybe a little bit more zoom back a little bit, at the most maybe 10 networks, but probably closer to like 5-6 networks that are like really at the enterprise institutional like adoption level. Like who would have guessed, like, and I still learn stuff all the time that I had no idea about. Like obviously like occasionally we hear things and it's like cool that we get to hear things, but FedEx was like a total surprise. And it's like, that's insane that FedEx. So like, it makes me think like if an entity like FedEx is going to join the Hedera Council, like what other stuff don't I know about? And I'm sure it's a lot. But what are you guys excited about? I mean, I kind of talked about what I'm excited about a little bit, or maybe I didn't, but nobody wants to hear that anyways. Phil, I'll start with you.
Same as I said earlier, like to me, it's yeah, more collaborations, more partnerships, more use cases, more people trying stuff out from the retail side of point, because that really has an influence on the overall ecosystem, broadly speaking, through AI, through even if it's just creating art, anything, just to push this beautiful ecosystem and a pool of talent that we have over there. Yeah, more of all of that, collaborations, communify, this whole thing.
Yep. May.
Yeah, I am excited about all the things that are being built on Hedera that have yet to come out. I think that there have been a lot of updates in the past few months where, like this HashPack card, this has been in the works for like half a year at least, but at one point it's going to come out, and I'm excited for that. I'm excited for all these platforms that are in the works by these teams that are developing. Like Kiva is one of them that I think they're imminently coming out. But there are many, many others that are just like ready to go. And very interestingly, like there's a lot of like regulated products, regulated platforms that are already live on Hedera, and you just don't hear about them because they don't touch DeFi. It's not something that's geared towards retail, but one day it could be. And it's just a matter of like, right now they're doing the institutional clients, they're doing the business to business stuff, but when that solidifies, it's a no-brainer to go to retail with those products as well. And part of that is maybe regulations getting clear, because they can do it on the institutional level, because institutions are what's the word, they are accredited, they have licenses with the various banks or governments or something like that. But when it all gets nailed down, people in retail can start accessing those things too, and that's going to be really exciting. So hopefully we'll see that sooner rather than later, and then we can throw it into HashPack, and then you guys can take advantage of it. And I think people get really excited when they see all the things that are actually really being built across the world. And so that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, and I think I think your point is super valid. Like we're seeing all these projects and business relationships being developed, and obviously as we have regulation come into place, which, oh god, I'm so tired of seeing like the Clarity Act speculation posts. Like it's coming. Like those are the posts. It's like it might happen like imminent, and it's like, okay, great. But once that stuff does fall into place, there's so much that I think is going to happen so quick. And obviously stable coins were the first thing to get across the line last year. And now I'm already seeing the banks talking about tokenized deposits. So like they've moved beyond stable coins, the writing's on the wall. And like I even use like as like a sidebar, and I will give a shout out to Nomini Ruben from Hedera, Chief Policy Officer, because that's another individual that I always see it in so many different locations globally, talking to like very, very interesting individuals. But I think one thing like that happened last year that probably went under the radar a little bit was like obviously like the Equity Lab NVIDIA stuff with verifiable compute, which is like anchored on Hedera. And then people see that and it's just like, okay, well maybe that's a one-off. And then you see like Accenture like all over like all the Hedera stuff. Like Accenture is actually speaking at HederaCon. So is the bigwig at DTCC, so Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. So is a bigwig at Ripple. There's like very interesting people speaking at HederaCon this year. And same with the guy from Accenture. So like what ended up happening is like you start connecting dots and it's like, oh, public policy, government initiatives for like basically the verification of what's going into like AI for entities using AI. And you have like Accenture, Equity Lab, Verifiable Compute, all this stuff anchored on Hedera Consensus Service. And it's like, you really have to start like zooming out a little bit. And like, yeah, I understand it's frustrating for people to like look at, dude, I mean, I was that way in 2018 and 19. Like I would open up CoinMarketCap literally 5 times a day. And I'm like, you know, at some point I was like, this isn't productive anymore. And then now it's almost like, you know, I do see people still talking about it all the time, but I really don't, unless I'm like doing it for like context in a video or something, like I don't even pull that stuff up anymore just because to me it's like pointless. Like whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'm more interested in like where's the real world adoption overlap, like who's integrating this stuff and what are the implications for the future of not just crypto, but the future of like society, because crypto blockchain is going to be a part of society. So HashPack is the biggest part of the Hedera society as far as the users on the network. Like I said at the beginning of this, huge shout out to HashPack and the HashPack team for helping us to make podcasts like this possible. We actually have another podcast to release. I don't know when that will go live. I don't know when this will go live, that we did last week. That's like 3 showcases, Phil. I don't know if you were in that one or not. But we're doing content all the time, and it's because of you guys that we're able to do it. So huge shout out and thank you guys for helping us to make this content possible. And May and Phil, this won't be the last one, and it certainly wasn't the first. So thank you guys for joining today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for hosting us.